Super Mario World began its development sometime around 1987 with a team of roughly 16 people. Some familiar names on the team include Takashi Tezuka as the director and Shigeru Miyamoto as producer. Since the Super Famicom released late 1990, it's very likely that Super Mario World was one of the first games to be developed for the system. And because of this, there were some difficulties creating this Mario title that later games on the system didn't have to worry about, such as incomplete development tools and, of course, just the fact that they're starting something new with newly created tools. That creates a lot of challenges. Despite problems working on the new hardware, there was an upside. The team had less restrictions compared to developing for the original Famicom. As an example, it was much easier for the artists to depict what they wanted to see on screen. However, it was more challenging for Koji Kondo, the composer of Super Mario World. Creating music for the game was a whole lot different from the original Famicom. On the Super Famicom, he had to create his own sound samples, as they weren't built into the system anymore. This made composing music, as Kondo said in an interview, 100 times more difficult. Not only that, the team also had to include their own expanded color palette. So despite Super Mario World's cartridge being 4 megabytes compared to the 3 megabyte cartridge of Super Mario Bros. 3, the team actually had less memory to work with. And speaking of Super Mario Bros. 3, before even starting on Super Mario World, the team ported SMB3 to the Super Famicom in order to experiment with the new hardware. And while it was the same game, it did feature some higher detailed sprites with better looking colors. Sadly, we don't have any pictures of it, so you're just going to have to take Miyamoto's word for it. Looking at this port though, he realized that the team couldn't just make the same game again. They had to make something new. And that was an issue that stuck with them throughout development. At that time, many people who watched the team as they developed Super Mario World told them that they didn't see much difference between this game and past Mario titles, which solidified the need for them to create something new. One of these new ideas was the cape power-up, and I'm sure many of you know it well. At first though, the cape was controlled differently according to Tezuka. In order to make sure the controls felt right, they let some people test the game and give them feedback, as any good video game development team would do. And as they expected, the controls were too difficult for the test players. And to fix it, they adjusted the cape's handling in order to make it more playable, at the cost of Mario flying a bit, as Tezuka said, clumsy. Another new idea for Super Mario World was riding Yoshi, though technically it was actually an old idea. In fact, Miyamoto had the sketch of a dinosaur character taped up on his desk for 5 years before they finally had the technology to do it on the Super Famicom. After developing the game further, they again brought in the playtesters. At this time, some mentioned that the game was too difficult. So to fix this problem, the team decided to make Super Mario World geared for beginners. In the end, while Super Mario Bros. 3 was aimed to be for more experienced players, Super Mario World was meant to be friendly to those less skilled, but still provide an exciting experience for those who were veterans of the series. One way they hoped to accomplish this fine balance was with the new dotted blocks, which after you activate a switch, will create blocks where the dotted lines were. Doing this helped make the game easier for those who were willing to search out and find those switches. But despite being a smart way to balance the game's difficulty, really it was just a side effect of trying to create new blocks for the game. In early 1990, people on the outside got to see their first images of Super Mario World from a 1989 build of the game. Let's take an in-depth look starting at this early title screen. Compared with the final, this early build is quite different. In fact, about the only thing that looks the same is the border, but it's what's inside the border that counts. Inside is a hand-drawn-esque map of some island. The logo itself is the same as the Japanese version, except for the color, which was changed from all blue to various colors. One thing you need to know about this build though, is that during this point of development, the team was modeling Super Mario World after Super Mario Bros. 3.